Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to our program, ladies and gentlemen. Today's show is really exciting. I'm looking forward to this day. And we have three wonderful guests who are going to join us today in the discussion of, first of all, their presentation that's going to be upcoming on the LEAD conference, which is a 8th year at the California State University, San Bernardino. My name is Armando S. Sanchez. I'll be today's host today, and we have three guests, Bel Hernandez, Sal Lopez, and Daniel Haro. And they are all members of the Zoot. They were part of the original years. Some of them were the original play, and then some of them were in the original years at the beginning of the Zoot. And they're going to be, again, at the California State University San Bernardino Latino Education and Advocacy Days Conference on March 30th. It's free. It's open to the public. And also it's going to be webcast globally, so please join them as they have their presentation. Let's bring them into the show and have them share what they see as being part of the evening, what they're going to share at 2:45 panel, and then let's take on and let's pull from them some of their stories back from Zoot and how that transfers today in the overall mission of education of Latinos. So, ladies first, we'll start with Bel. Bel, good morning.
Good morning, Armando. So glad to be on your show.
Thank you. You've been on our show before, and it's always been a thrill to have you. Let me give you sort of the platform first. Tell us about what you see being the presentation on March the 30th and how you see that salute to the impact of Zoot to the overall educational mission. Well,
they say that to know our history is one of the most powerful attributes, that if you know where you come from, you know where you're going, and you're empowered. Zoot is history that is being dramatized and shown to a general audience. And it's history that I was not aware of when I first got into the show. And so it's incumbent, especially in this era where, you know, we have so much hate talk against Latinos and Mexicans in particular, that we understand that history, that we learn our history so that we can be empowered by it. And again, being in that play taught me that history, but it also empowered me because I felt like I belonged, and I felt that the theme of the play is about standing up for your rights. And so I feel that was one of the most important things. When you had audiences go, they were empowered. So I believe that education is powerful.
It sounds to me like the message is still very much alive today than it was back when the original play came out.
Oh, definitely. There were so many people that thousands upon thousands went to see the play, which ran for about a year. And then it went to Broadway as well, and it was there like for 2 months. But it ran in L.A. for about a year and several months. And the audiences were predominantly Latinos and a lot of Anglos. A lot of celebrities went to see the play. And everyone was blown away by the theatricality that Luis Valdez, the director, put into the play. But most importantly, people were empowered. They were just blown away that we mattered, that we were part of history. So the message was very empowering and very educational. And I think from there, a lot of people went forward with that empowerment and bettered their lives and went to places where they maybe would not have gone had they not seen the play.
Absolutely. Wow, that's awesome. Let's also bring in Daniel Haro and then also Sal Lopez. So we'll bring in Daniel. And Daniel, same question to you. How do you see the evening, the 2:45 panel on March the 30th at California State University, San Bernardino?
Well,
and then how does the play apply to us today?
Well, good morning, Armando. Also, it's a pleasure to be here and to be on the line with Bel and Sal. I mean, I was 1979. I had just come back from school, and I had opportunity to go see something called Zoot, which I also, like Bell, didn't know anything about. But seeing the cast that included Bell and Sal Lopez and Edward James Olmos, I mean, it was mesmerizing. And I thought, what the heck is this? I've never seen, which was true at that time. You'd never seen Chicanos, Latinos on the American stage. And that in itself was significant because it introduced, in many ways, to mainstream America, society, that we not only have stories, we have the talent, you know, and the ability to pull off an incredible story that went across, transcended ethnicities at that time, still does, because the people that come to see it now are Latinos audience, but also when I saw it recently, it was, you know, majority were Caucasian people that came to see what the heck is this about, like we thought. You know, what's interesting is the Caucasians at this point are saying the same things that we did as Latinos at that time. What is this all about? You know, so it very much has a relevance that speaks today as it did back then. And you know, as they say, history repeats itself, and here we are repeating it. But at the same time, as Bell mentioned, the challenges that exist from that call that Zoot made to a lot of us and to the community is still calling out today. You know, the challenges for the young, the generation of young advocates, young Latinos, to realize that there's still significant challenges and changes that have to take place. And I think more than just a play, you know, it's a call. I keep using that word, but it's a call to action in many ways to say, hey, we matter, we're relevant, we have a history, and it continues to needs to be told, you know, to all people, and particularly to our own as well, because as Bell says, history repeats itself. You know, if we don't pay attention to our past, then our future isn't compelling. And right now, a lot of people think our future, or at least our present, isn't very compelling as a community, particularly as we face this new administration and all the issues that are coming up, you know. So I see a very enlightening, challenging, and a call at this conference for people to learn from and go forward in their own lives.
Outstanding. And we'll pass it over to Sal Lopez. Sal, thank you for being on the program.
Buenos dias. Happy to be here. Val, how are you? Good morning. ¿Cómo amaneciste? I saw Val last night. We were at an awards dinner, and I didn't really get a chance to talk because she's always so busy. She's become quite the activist.
I see.
You know, she's the editor of Latin Heat, which is a very prominent magazine that, is always on, deals with the people in the business, especially our people. And it's interesting because we were at this awards dinner last night, and certainly when we started back in the late 70s, there weren't very many of us. I don't think there was enough of us to have an awards dinner in show business.
Right.
And you know, things have changed quite a bit, but Zoot was the precursor and really the genesis for many of us to break into show business and an opportunity to exercise the potential that we all had. Many from that production, from all the productions that become playwrights and actors and created their own theater companies, etc. And it was all because of that particular opportunity that was presented before us that really, and I speak for myself, would never have, if I had not had that opportunity, would never be where I am now. And it's so sometimes I think that, you know, if we're not presented with those opportunities, there's a potential there that will never be realized. And I think that that we have to create those opportunities for our community. And anyway, it's great to be with you, and I think it will be really exciting come March. Is it March? When is it? Yeah, March, right? Next month.
March 30th.
Yeah,
you know,
Go ahead,
tagging on to what Sal said, you know, Sal and I both came from the folklorico world. So here are these Chicanitos who are immersed in our culture and finding ourselves through our culture and through dance. And like you said, had we not had the opportunity to audition and become part of the show, he wouldn't have gone to do Full Metal Jacket. I mean, a little Chicanito who just finished this award-winning play, he gets hired, and he spent how many months over there in Europe? What an opportunity, which kind of launched his acting career, because that was a major movie. So that's the kind of stuff that came out of Zoot Suit, and that I would not have started a magazine and not have felt empowered to say our voice matters and we need to keep our voice out there had it not been for Zoot Suit. So, you know, everything was a starting point for many of us there, like Sal said.
And you know, for me, I sitting there and watching again Sal and Sal and Belle and the other tremendously talented Chicano actors, Latino actors. I mean, I was inspired to want to try that, to say I'd like to learn how to do that, you know, be an actor. And then 18 years later, I had a chance to be in the cast, the first cast that performed Zoot Suit after that original cast down in San Diego. So that was a great honor. When I look back on it, I thought, wow, you know, from that point, sitting in the audience to actually being on the stage was a special moment. So as Belle and Sal have said, that for many of us and a lot of other individuals, it was a starting point and a point of inspiration to go forward in their own lives and develop their own careers, you know. So,
you know, let me ask a question, and I'm going to throw it out there for the three of you to, you know, how you think about the item. We're on the conference. The lead conference is at Cal State San Bernardino, and here you are, actors, performers, writers, and motivators, and, you know, Chicano Movimiento, and you have a bunch of students and teachers and other people in the educational world. What would you like them to take away with them that evening after your session?
Well, I would like for the students to come and hear our experiences, which are very much like their experiences. I mean, I grew up in Boyle Heights. I didn't think that I was as good as Anglo kids because I never saw ourselves on TV. I never knew that we had a Congress or a politician. I never saw any successful Latinos when I was growing up and watching Green Acres and all the popular TV shows. I felt I was invisible. Okay, so it's not like, you know, we were given like something like like, wow, this happened to us, and everything was in place. I had a lot of issues as when we finished Zoot Suit and I started my acting career, that I would go to auditions and I would literally say in my head, I know the white people are going to be better than me, you know? And so what I wish that the students would gather from the conference is that you can do whatever. And it's easy for people to say, and kids hear that all the time, but it really is a reality. And if you start believing it, it'll happen. Whatever you want to do will happen. You know, just make sure you're informed and you learn and you take that opportunity to learn and go on to college, or learn however you can, as much as you can, read as much as you can. And nowadays we actually do have more role models, like Sal was saying yesterday. I mean, the most prolific producer, writer who's done Transformers and Hawaii Five-O, the new TV show, and Sleepy Hollow, he is one of the biggest names in Hollywood. His name is Roberto Orsi, very proud Mexican. And so we have those role models, so that if I was a kid and I saw that, I would say to myself, oh, I can do that, because look at him. Everybody in Hollywood knows him. So that's what I want them to take, that they can do whatever. It is our time. We are out there. We have role models. Just take it. And whatever you want to do, just be empowered to know that you can do it.
Wow. Awesome.
That's it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Let me just chime in on top of what Val said. I think, one of the things that is still we need in the industry, in terms of the industry, because that's what we're talking about, unless we want to talk about other subjects, so that we can do that as well. But in terms of what people, I want people to come away with, what we're still lacking is we need people to tell our stories. I think that what happens in Hollywood, quote unquote Hollywood, is that you have our stories. There is a market for us, and I think there's an opportunity for us to be seen and make more movies and more television shows. One of the issues is that you have these white people who live in a bubble, who all live in North Hollywood. They all know each other, and they're the ones that are writing our characters and writing our stories because they know that there's a need out there. They know that the Latinos are the ones that go to the movies and watch television, but they don't know the nuance. They don't know how to know our culture. So we need our people to write our stories from our perspective with everything that comes with that experience. And that is what we really, really need, because any good story, well told, is something that people want to make, and people want to see. And unfortunately, what has happened before is that our stories are told, but they're not told well, and so then they're not marketable, and then the bottom line is the green. The bottom line is $1. So people say, "Oh, well, see, it didn't work. It didn't do well. People didn't come and see it, et cetera, et cetera." So we need to develop our own writers and tell our own stories, and I think that's where our strength will be, and that in turn is what everything develops, because it all starts in the page. And I think that we need to nurture our young people to write. I started writing at a very late in life. I did a one-person show last year, and it was something that I would never have fathomed that I could ever attempt, because of what Val was talking about in terms of our, we never saw ourselves in that position. But nowadays, our community, they don't suffer from those, self-esteem and these things that are holding them back, that they don't see themselves. They kind of, there's role models enough for us to motivate our young people to get in the business in terms of being writers, etc. So I would advocate for that, because that's really where it all begins.
And then I'd just like to add a little bit. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sure. No, go ahead, then.
Just to add a little bit to Sal and Val, I think also one of the things we need to let people understand, or hopefully come away with it, that it's an economic base to this business, because it is a business, right? Show business, the show, and then there's the business side. And one of the things we are, since I started in 1982, we do have more Latino actors, in front of the camera, a few more directors, some great ones, producers, as Val mentioned, and a few writers. But yes, absolutely, that has to be increased, because our storytellers need to have a place in this business, which has not happened enough. And at the same time, we also need the economic power base, because at the end of the day, there's somebody sitting up there, or people sitting up there in the boardroom deciding, well, I think this story works, this one doesn't. We push we call it green lighting it, green lit. we still don't sit in those seats enough. We still don't have enough executives that make the decisions to spend the dollars to get those stories told, you know. So it's still very much a challenge for us in this business to develop an economic base and to be in a position to look at those scripts that Sal talks about and be able to say, yeah, I like this story. I think it works, you know. So, you know, my limited experience in meeting with some executives, you know, and as I mentioned, my interest is in sports and Latinos in sports, and I've told a few stories on a documentary level. And when I sit across the seat or the desk from an ESPN official, and they all look, they all look the same, slightly balding 35-year-old white men that make a decision like, I don't know what this story's about. What do you mean? I've never heard of this character or this person, and you know, we think of sports, again, just to talk about sports, in black and white terms, but yet Latinos have shaped American sports, you know, as long as they've been in this country. So, you know, it's still, as Sal and Irby said, those areas are important, and following those dreams, if you want to be an actor, if you want to be a producer, director, yes, the avenue is there to follow that. Difficult, but still follow your dreams, as everybody, all of us have, but also know that we need to have our executives in those positions too. You know, we need to develop the business-minded people in our community that want to come into Hollywood, and to know that it's a power base. We need to develop our economic power base, which Sal alluded to very eloquently, that, look, we support, we buy more tickets, we buy more concession items, we buy more tickets to go to concerts. So we definitely support, on an economic level, we support this business, we support this industry. You know, it exists because we come and support it as a community. So, but yet it's not reflecting in our storytelling, you know. I mean, look at the Academy Awards coming up. You know, we've got wonderfully stories from the African American community perspective, and that's tremendous, but really none from our community still. But I have to add the significance, and Sal being the humble man that he is, and I think Bell, both have been selected to be on the Academy Award Foundation, where they get to now have a vote to choose, you know, the types of stories that do get acknowledged and awarded. So there are slight, but there are increases in those positions, economic power positions, or deciding positions, you know, positions that do make a difference in what stories are told and awarded and acknowledged. So, but I would say those are the challenges still that we issue, that maybe Zoot still calls out to, you know, to challenge the next generation to, you know, get involved in many levels, not just in entertainment, but again, as we speak about entertainment, those are the challenges that we see, or at least I see in this business, that still needs to be addressed.
Danny, and thank you so much for saying that I'm part of the Academy, but actually it's Enrique Castillo, my husband.
Yeah,
I'm not part.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
There are a lot of Latinos. I'm sorry I left them out, but since we have two of them, I wanted to bring that.
Oh no, but I was,
attention.
and I wish I was in the Academy, but they didn't ask me to be in the Academy.
Oh, okay. Well, they should have.
Yeah.
There you go.
They should have. There you go.
Yeah. But Sal's in it. Sal, right? Sal's in it. Yeah.
Yes.
Right. All right. Let me do two small things, and then I'm going to bring it back to you. Number one, I want to also acknowledge Kirk Whisler. He couldn't be on the show today, but he will be on it. He's the president of Latino 247 Media Group. And the other person who's going to be on your panel as well is the wonderful, outstanding, beautiful art maker Ignacio Gomez, who he will also be on your panel. The other thing is, Belle, would you please, I'm sort of asking you as a small favor, would you please give out contact information for Latino Heat, please?
Oh, okay. So we're online at Latin Heat, LatinHeat.com. And I wanted to also promote our new talk show that we have.
Please.
It's called The Trend Talk, and you can find us on Facebook. Today's new episode talks about the Oscars and how we're not represented So please, everybody, please go to Facebook, like our page, The Trend Talk, and watch the show. We need all of your support.
Wonderful. You know, may I throw one sort of I think of this as a fish in a shark tank, because you guys are awesome, and I have to ask this question. If you guys don't have time, I understand, but I'd like to ask a question. From your perspective, what is the power of media in society?
Wow.
Oh my gosh, that's a big question.
It's tremendous, yeah. Go ahead, Sal.
No. I mean, I think it's obvious. I mean, you're saying media in general, or what do you mean?
Yes, media, television, theater, movies. What the message that comes out of media and goes to the public? What is its impact on society?
Well, I mean, I think it's obvious. I mean, it's what creates a lot of our popular culture, popular opinion. It influences in every facet of life. You know, fashion, trends, economics, everything. I mean, it is a powerful way to influence culture, society, and in every way. That's why I think we should turn it off for sometimes.
You know, it also informs, because now we're global. So media, you know, film, television, it also informs people around the world about who we are. So when you have Hollywood persisting on showing Latinos in negative stereotypical roles, then that's what the world thinks of us. That's how powerful it is. So around the world, in Japan, they think we're gangbangers, you know, and that's why it's important to take those stories that we were talking about and put those stories up, because we need to present the other side of who Latinos are. So that's how powerful it is.
That is true. You know, what Val has said is exactly right. What the perception that is put out in let's say movies and television of our people, that's what people perceive us to be. I remember when we did a film called Luminarias, and people would say, are there really Chicanos like that? And in the United States, when we went to Cuba, you know, at film festival, or Spain, etc. You know. You
mean Latinos, upwardly mobile Latinos?
Exactly.
Exactly.
Upwardly mobile Latinos. They don't. It's really amazing the perception that you know that exists of us. So. Yeah, we have to change that. We definitely have to change that, and it's happening. You know, it's happening slowly. You know, for the Black community, they've always been an integral part of America. Even when they were slaves, they were always been part. They were always considered American, even though they were, you know. Slaves, but for us, I think we've always been considered foreigners, even though we were here first. And so
some of us were here forever, because when America was founded, we were already here.
That's true. But
you know, I wanted to say something about the Oscars. Is that, you know, when we talk about the African American community, I mean, they were just as disenfranchised as we were. I mean, they were brought over as slaves, okay, and they have been able to lift themselves up. But one of the things that the African American community has that we need to emulate is that they stand up for what they want and what they think is right. 2 years in a row, they stood up, and vocal African American talent stood up and said, the Oscars are all white. This is not good. 2 years in a row. Meanwhile, our community was saying, well, maybe we shouldn't create any waves. Some of us spoke up. Some of us didn't want to. What happened 2 years later? They have 7 on-camera nominees. We have none. So we need to stand up. We don't have to create a riot or anything, but we need to speak up. especially in this day and age. And in the industry, we need to say, wait a minute, we matter. We need to be there. So I just wanted to give kudos to the African American community, and we need to emulate that.
And just to add to that, 7 nominees from 7 wonderful stories, and that gets to what Sal was talking about, how our stories need to be told. Their stories were told. Somebody greenlit those stories, right? That's the business side we were talking about. So all those components take place because of the organization, you know, and the demand, really, that has taken place. And that is so true. We need to demand our voice in this business, you know. A quick personal story of me. For 1980, you know, I was still in school, graduating, and I went to what was called the Smithsonian Folk Festival, which each month they would have a huge thing on the mall. And this particular summer, they had each week they'd bring in different American Indian tribes, and they would, you know, teach their culture, and people would come around. So this particular tribe was the Sac and Fox, which Jim Thorpe, the famous American Indian athlete, one of the world's greatest, his great-great-granddaughter was a tribal princess, and she was a very beautiful woman, and I was mesmerized by that, and just, you know, she was dressed up in her traditional, and she was talking, answering questions, and I happened to be standing next to this young white couple. They weren't old, so that's what was really shocking. They were like in their 20s, you know, and she was answering questions, and they kept asking, excuse me, do American Indian women wear makeup? And, you know, you got a few surprises from the audience and some looks towards them, but you could tell they were very serious, and she was very respectful. Yes, we wear makeup like anybody else, you know. Do American Indian people eat with knives and forks? Yes, you know, we're like no different. You know, but again, these people, that reaction that we're hearing, you know, it's true. A lot of people were like sniffing, like, what? And you see them, but they were extremely serious, very serious. So I'm listening to them. And she said, well, as a matter of fact, if you know, maybe you may not be aware that more American Indian people live in the cities than they do on tribal reservations, which I didn't know at that time. And their response was, after the last, you know, incredible question, and the tribal princess was very, you know, again, very calm, they said, well, I don't understand it. I see all these John Wayne movies, and I see these Indians, you know, sitting around a campfire eating. It was amazing. But that, you know, again, this is 1980, not too long ago. But the power of the image that we're talking about that's lasting in people's minds, there was an example. And this, again, these were young people. This wasn't an old couple. They were very young. So it's a tremendous challenge. The largest, strongest medium in the world, I believe. And when you sit in a movie theater where it's pitch black and you're seeing images coming at you, it's going into your subconscious that you have no control of, you know, and people being killed and mutilated, like as good as it's shown on television now. We as consciously could look at that and go, it's just make-believe, you know, but our subconscious can't make that distinction, so it gets buried in there. All these images, all these things that we see on the screen, later on we have nightmares about things that we've seen, you know, but it just shows the power of that, the subconscious power that imagery has. So from the extreme of this couple saying that they thought all Indian people lived, you know, out on the prairie, eating on campfires because of John Wayne, an American movie icon, you know, what he did for that, and to, you know, the imagery that we see in the movie theaters today, you know, that stays with us. So very powerful, very powerful in the world.
Unfortunately, we're running out of time, but I do want to do 2 final things here, and I want to go back to Belle and have her once again give us the contact information for Latino Heat and also for the like on Facebook, and then give everyone a minute, you know, closing statements as we prepare for the March 30th event at California State University San Bernardino. So let me go back to Belle. Belle, once again, please, the contact information, because I think it's critical for people who want to enter the profession.
Okay, so yes, LatinHeat.com, LatinHeat.com. If you want to get into the business, you need to educate yourself and know who's in the business. This is what our website is about. It's about industry. It's about the players. It's about the talent. It's about the celebrities. Also, now we have a new show. It's The Trend Talk. So It's the, and then TREND, Talk, and go to Facebook, like our page, and watch today's episode. It talks about Oscars. The Oscars, the lack of representation, a little bit of history. We have some fun segments about dressing up for the Oscars, even though we're not going, but for the next year. But anyway, it's a good show. It's highlighting Latinos from all walks of life. Please like us. We need to support Latino content, and it's a good content, so you'll like it.
Absolutely. Closing statements, let you guys go because I know you guys have a busy schedule all the way around. So whoever wants to go first, you got a minute. Closing statements, please.
Orale, Danny.
Oh, I was waiting for you, Sal. I just.
Listen, just thank you very much.
I hope people show up.
Closing statements is it's just like a debate. Orale.
Well, you got to talk about your theater company that you're in, and you got to.
Oh yeah,
sure
actually,
that
thank you.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead. We have the time.
I belong to the Latino theater company. We've been in existence now for almost 30 years. We do productions that have to do with the Latino perspective here in it's told from a Latino perspective, but they're all in English. And we produce our own plays, we write them, and we also produce other plays. We have 5 theaters in our building. It's the Los Angeles Theater Center, 514 South Spring Street. Look us up. It's the latc.org, the latc.org. And we have 2 plays coming up right now. One of them is the Rules of Second, which deals with the 19th century dueling, and then the other one is called The Cruise with Rick Salinas from Culture Clash. And so look us up, and we always have something going on, and see you there.
I can never get out of that place. I'm always there. So many performances. So awesome.
Well, excuse me. I just want to say thank you for the opportunity talking now, but look forward to the opportunity to be able to participate in the panel and talk about some of the issues that we talked about today. Maybe not as lengthy, as I was, but to address some of the concerns, answer questions, and just issue challenges for our audience, our young people to stay involved. If you're not involved, get involved, and if you are involved, stay involved and don't give up. And keep going forward. To fight the good fight, as they say. And there's a tremendous amount of challenges in front of us on all levels, not just in entertainment, of course, but outside in the other areas that we all know about, from immigration to the politics and all that. So I look forward to the chance to seeing a lot of people there and having this discussion. So thank you, Armando.
Thank you.
More than welcome. I've been very honored. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. We've been talking to Hernandez, Lopez, and Daniel Haro. They are going to be the 2:45 p.m. panel at California State University, San Bernardino on March 30th, 2017. It's the lead conference, and their panel is Salute to the Impact of the Zoot, the play, and it's an alumni reunion, so it's really cool. You'll also see Ignacio Gomez, and we thank Kirk Whisler for doing this. At the other end, ladies and gentlemen, please go attend. If you cannot, if you're somewhere else in the world, you can watch the presentation live. So please go to theleadsummit.csusb.edu. And you can go to California State University San Bernardino's website, and you'll find the lead conference. So please join them there, and thank you for being on our program. If you have any questions, please contact me at lsacnational@hotmail.com. Again, we want to thank Bel Hernandez, Sal Lopez, and Daniel Haro for being on our program, and go and enjoy their conversation, and also go up and say hi to them. They're really outstanding individuals, so please join them there. Thank you very much for being on the program, and we look forward to being on the show again. Adios.
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 Thank you, guys.
Okay. I think we went past the